Josh Hasten here, Israel Uncensored on the Land of Israel Network at thelandofisrael.com. Thanks so much for joining us today. We've been talking about the current elections taking place in the U.S., the 38th World Zionist Congress. And we're going to go to the phone right now and speak to Mark Levenson. He's the chair of the Zionist Organization of America. The ZOA coalition is currently running in the election. Part of their slogan is courageously defending Israeli sovereignty and the Jewish people. If you're not familiar with these elections, this is your chance to vote for your voice in Israel. Mark, it's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you, Josh. It's always good speaking with you and seeing you.
So we are in the midst of very important times here with the election currently taking place for the World Zionist Congress. And you represent the ZOA, and you have a bunch of coalition partners. If you can, just start off by talking about your platform, your party's platform.
Yes, so thank you. We're very appreciative of the opportunity. This is a critical vote. Voting started on January 21st, goes through March 11th. You just have to go on votezoa.org. There are multiple links you can find, ZOA Coalition, anything like that. You just go there, it'll link you over. We're slate number 11. I'll probably mention that a few times, the ZOA Coalition. It's Zionist Organization of America, and we have 27 terrific, strong Zionist and Jewish activist groups as partners. And a little later on, I'm going to just quickly let everyone know who that is so that they know that their particular favorite organization is with us. But in terms of our platform, this is so critical. And, we're spending a lot of time on this, and it's well worth every minute because we are in a fight. You have fights in Israel between the right and the left, and I apologize for using those terms. We have the same fights here. The left is demonizing us and what we want to do and what we're for. And so let me quickly tell you a couple of the high points of our platform. Our key items are, 1, rescue Jews endangered by global anti-Semitism and promote the safety of Jews around the world. Our next key item is combat global and campus anti-Semitism and boycotts, divestments, and sanctions. We want everyone to say no to an Iranian proxy Palestinian Arab terror state. We want to promote love and respect for Jewish tradition, Torah from Sinai, and all other people. We are strongly for defending and strengthening the state of Israel, the Jewish state of Israel, united Jerusalem under Israeli sovereignty, and the Jewish people's right to live and develop Yehuda and Shomron, Judea and Samaria. We also strongly believe in strengthening Jewish and Zionist education in Israel and the diaspora. And you have no idea how many American Jews do not believe in those simple concepts that really are what we, the Jewish people, are all about.
Yeah, obviously that's something we value on my show, something I personally value, everything that you mentioned there, all those points. I do want to hear who all your partners are in just a second. But just to clarify again, for those people who don't understand what we're talking about in terms of their voice in Israel, and I want you to elaborate on this, Mark. I mean, we're talking about budgets over, I believe it's $1 billion in budgets for some of the biggest organizations, some of the players here who are essentially NGOs outside of the Knesset who control tremendous budgets, who have a high stake in where things are developed in this country, whether it's in the Negev, whether it's in Judea and Samaria. They make the call and allocate these funds or educational programs and all that. And I want you to elaborate on the importance of that $1 billion budget. That's the amount that has been floating around.
Yes, well, that's true. So, Josh, it's actually both money and initiatives and programs. So there is about $1 billion a year. As you know, the first World Zionist Congress by Theodor Herzl was in 1897, and at least in recent history, the World Zionist Congress meets every 5 years. There's an election every 5 years, and that then puts in place delegates to vote on funding and priorities for the Jewish people and the state of Israel over the course of the ensuing 5 years. So we have $1 billion a year that's at stake. And it is basically, it's funding that goes to the Jewish Agency, Karen Kayemet, Karen Yesod, But it's not just the voting on the dollars. The dollars are critical. I mean, obviously, $1 billion is very, very important. What's just as important is where there is influence and where we have departments within the Jewish Agency and other of these agencies where we have people that think like we do and want the initiatives and the ideas that I suggested to you before. Because what happens is this election is a very interesting election. Israel gets 38% of the worldwide delegates. The U.S. gets about a third, we'll call it 152 delegates, and then the rest of the world votes on the rest, which is around 30%. So there are 152 delegates that will be elected from the U.S. The elections, I said, continue through March 11th, and then in October of this year, October 2020, will be the World Zionist Congress. So obviously, money is very important. Desperately, Israel and Jewish institutions, we need every last penny. But it's not just the money; it's also the programs and initiatives. A lot of these NGOs, as you would say, I would call it, government or non-governmental organizations that have helped run the state since 1948. These organizations are populated by people who run departments and promote initiatives. And it's really pretty simple, Josh. If you were in there helping to run education, I'd feel pretty good on what the education initiatives and programs would be. If we have, and I'll just use an example, if you have folks from Merit or folks that have those views in there, you have a very different viewpoint. So I've had, over the last couple of years, I've had, American Jewish friends say to me, Mark, how is it possible that I'm seeing this movie that's promoting this false narrative and I'm seeing it's funded out of Israel? How is that possible? It's possible, Josh, because people that were elected in the last election, the right got swamped, the left won very big. They get to then put their people into these World Zionist Organization departments, Jewish agency departments, et cetera, and they push their initiatives. Money's great, but if you don't have someone managing a program, writing up what the program should be, pushing the program, then you're not going to get what you want. So the 150 delegates that we are aiming to win a significant number of, I'd like to say we can win all 152, but that obviously is unrealistic. This is kind of like the Knesset. There are multiple parties running. There are 15 slates running. We're number 11. Vote ZOA, slate number 11. We have these 27 great coalition partners. But the fact is that, we're not going to win 100%. So our goal is we'd like to really get a majority here so that we can help not only drive the funds that are needed, but just as importantly, drive the programs so we don't have to worry about BDS issues. We don't have to worry about films that promote false narratives on the other side. We don't have to worry about people that say, well, we really don't need strong Jewish education. We don't care about Jewish tradition. What's wrong with a Palestinian Arab terror state? I mean, those are the type of things we're fighting about here, Josh.
So that's slate number 11. But Mark, I would like you to go ahead. If you want to list all of your coalition partners, I have no problem if you give us all the organizations quickly. So I think it's important.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. I hope I'm not speaking too fast, but we're so blessed with 27 coalition partners. I cannot give them, a minute each. Otherwise, we'd go over our little lot of time here.
It's good to see unity. We'll start with that, but go ahead.
That is, we're very excited, and it's alphabetical. This is alphabetical. Other than Zionist Organization America, we are the lead slate on the program. So we have ZOA, Zionist Organization America. We have Ahara USA, Aisha Torah, Americans Against Anti-Semitism, Americans for a Safe Israel, American Friends of Ateret Kohanim, American Friends of Likud, Americans for Peace and Tolerance, Beit Yehoro Gorski Kovskoski Center, Chovevei Tzion, Eretz Israel Movement, Hasbara Fellowships, I Lead, JCC Watch, Make Israel Great, Russian Jewish Coalition for a Strong Israel, the Lafayette Project, National Conference on Jewish Affairs, NORPAC, One Israel Fund, Save the West, Students Supporting Israel, Torah Sinai, Torah from Sinai, United Mashadi Jewish Community of America, UMJCA, U.S. Russian Jews Stand with Israel, World Likud, Young Jewish Conservatives, and Z Street. In addition, Josh, to those coalition members, we have many, many board members of the A.E. Pi Foundation, CAMRA, Israel Bonds, and other groups who individually are some of our 152 coalition candidates. And I also just want to close this point by saying that our ZOA coalition includes Russian, Persian, Syrian, Ashkenazi, Mizrahi, Sephardi, Beta Israel, which Ethiopians, Israeli, Ukrainian, Bukharian, Gorski, Kapsaki, and other American Jewish communities all working together. And I just must slip in there, Josh, that our coalition is endorsed by major Israel ministers such as Eli Cohen, Zev Elkin, Gilad Erdan, Yoav Gallant, Israel Katz, Amir Ohana, Miri Regev, Gideon Sar, Ketzela, Knesset Speaker Yuli Edelstein, prominent rabbis, top IDS officials, Israel mayors, and the heads of Binyamin, Shomron, and Gush Etzion regional councils. If you go to votezoa2020.org, that's votezoa2020.org, you'll see it all.
That's the place to go. That's the place to make your vote for your voice in Israel be heard. I want to thank you so much. Mark Levenson, chair of the Zionist Organization of America. Remember, you have until March 11th to cast your vote. And again, make your voice be heard here in Israel. Thank you so much for your time. Good luck with the election, and looking forward to talking to you again very, very shortly.
Thank you, Josh. Look forward to seeing you in Israel, and we're there in February.
Sounds great. We're going to take a break right now. Take a break. Be right back. Thanks so much for joining us here. Israel Uncensored on the Land of Israel Network at thelandofisrael.com. My name is Josh Hasten. I am in beautiful Jerusalem. Thanks so much for joining us. Get in touch with me during the week, Josh at thelandofisrael.com. On Facebook, it's Joshua Hasten or Josh Hasten Israel Advocacy and Journalism. On Twitter, at Josh Hasten, and now on Instagram as well. Thanks so much for Ben Bresky for patching us through, making that conversation happen, and Tabitha Epstein for everything that she does behind the scenes. Thanks so much.
We must always take sides, says Elie Wiesel. Neutrality helps the oppressor, never the victim. Silence encourages the tormentor, never the tormented. And if you've been listening for any time at all, then you know I'm not one to keep silent, because I'm Rav Mike Feuer, and this is The Jewish Story.
Join Rav Mike Feuer for the best Jewish history podcast, The Jewish Story, on the Land of Israel Network at thelandofisrael.com.
Josh Hasten here, Israel Uncensored on the Land of Israel Network at thelandofisrael.com, and we have a very special guest on the line right now, Rochelle Wreschner. She's a British qualified hospital play therapist with 20 years of experience working in hospitals in England and in Israel. She's a specialist in post-operative care. Now, she came up with an amazing, brand new idea, and she has turned this idea into a full-fledged organization. It is called Gift It Well. Gift It Well offers a wide range of gifts and services carefully selected for the needs of people dealing with illness, whether in the hospital or receiving outpatient care. They also offer a range of maternity and newborn gifts. She says the following: there are many things that you can give or do that will not only show that you care for those who are in the hospital, but also bring comfort and ease to the patient, and just as importantly, to their families and caregivers. Rochelle Wreschner from Gift It Well, thanks so much for joining us here today.
Hi, thank you for inviting me. How are you?
So I'm doing great, thank God. How are you?
Good, thank you.
So tell me about this idea for your organization, Gift It Well. I see you have a lot of experience working in the hospital setting. How did this all come about?
So basically, as you said, I have been working in hospitals for many, many years. I worked for a couple of years in England, and I've been working here in Hadassah for many years, for the last 12, 13 years. And I started off in surgery, and then I've been working in children's oncology for the last 12 years. And just by getting a lot of experience with children and their families, and seeing what the needs are, and seeing just when they go into the hospital, just like having those feel good, trying to bring the home into the hospital, what their needs are, and how it helps them to have those home comforts, making them feel that they're not just leaving their home and coming into the hospital, or coming into something that feels a little bit different for them, and having the unknown, be it in an oncology environment or any environment that brings them into something that makes them want to have, like, or the families or anyone around want to know what to help someone feel good about themselves, or help them to have an easier transition.
So, for example, you say here, I'm reading from your website, you say that sometimes people bring flowers or people bring chocolate, but according to your philosophy, that's not really what those who are hospitalized actually need. Maybe it's a nice gesture, but that's not what they need. What, from your experience, what are some of the things that, would actually perhaps improve people's getting well process in terms of what people can bring them?
Right. So there's been a lot of research done as well. And now what we see is as well, when patients or people are in hospital or in general, first of all, people will get a lot of flowers, which is also very nice. But at the end of the day, a lot of the flowers are taken out of the rooms of the patients for the simple reason that people have got allergies or the smells affect people. And if you're sharing a room with other people, especially, you don't know what the effects do on the other people, so the other patients. So often you'll see all the flowers around the nurse's station. And the same with chocolates or flour or different foods. Sometimes you'll bring them in with all the care in the world and wanting to make someone happy by giving them different foods, or especially for children, you're bringing candies, and the patient will be so excited, and suddenly you don't realize that, or the patient themselves don't realize they're on some diet or even on a fasting that they can't eat, and they'll be so excited to get this and suddenly really disappointed when they're given the candy and then suddenly they can't eat it. And the same with adults or anyone else, that they suddenly can't eat the foods that we bring in. So maybe it's best to think or ask before bringing in these foods. And then there are other gifts that can be more helpful or more so thinking about what would be, let's say, something that could keep them busy or occupied, especially for children, bringing specific games or bringing something would make someone feel more good, like a toweling robe or shower slippers, or just like a kit. Like I've got all these like kits that were just like very useful, like with like all the regular things that would help you if you would want to give the patient before they go into hospital. That's like a toiletry bag with like toothbrushes and all the shower necessities that you need, all the basic kits that you have, and like a light that like the Shabbat lights, for example, yes, that would not be disturbing your neighbor in the room. But let's say instead of putting on your light from for your phone, it won't disturb your neighbor, but you can put it on exactly the dimmer or the light, whatever you kind of need. Like eye masks with gel for the children, so you can make it warm or light, or warm or hot or cold, sorry. And also like all these kind of things that are just more useful, or not more useful. It's not that someone isn't bringing in something useful. And then there's also, on top of that, there's also services. So you can bring in services to the hospital, let's say pedicures, manicures for patients, or different kind of things that will help the patient feel good when they're lying in the hospital. Some people have asked in the past to have their hair cut, or someone's bringing in a gift to cut someone's hair or to color it, or massages, etc. All with, again, just to make this very, very clear, nothing that I bring in or nothing that I gift, or the service providers that are coming in to do these things for the patient without an allowance from the hospital. Every time I bring something in, or I bring a hospital provider in to do something for the patient, is always with an issue from the hospital.
So if you can, first of all, it's amazing what you're doing, but if you can explain how it works, how GiftedWell works. So you're saying if I know of somebody, God forbid, who's in a hospital, I'll call you up and say, hey, Rochelle, I know of this person is in the hospital. Can you help me? Can you think of a gift which would be appropriate to them? Can you think of something for me? And then are you the one, and is your service, do you guys actually go out and deliver to the hospital? How does it actually practically work?
Right. Okay. So basically it is a business. Okay. So it's for people pay for this business, and it's online, and people can choose the gifts that they want from all over the world. Okay. If they know a patient is in hospital. At the moment, I've launched in Jerusalem, in Israel. So, people can choose the gift that they like, and if they want to call me up for some guidance, I will help them. And the gifts get delivered to the patient's bedside. So there's no worry about how the gift's going to get. If someone wants to personally come to me, to my place in Jerusalem, they can come and choose. If they're, let's say, going to visit the patient themselves, they can hand deliver the gift themselves. If they can't get to the patient for every reason, there are patients that don't necessarily want visitors, or someone doesn't feel they want to send a gift, but they don't feel comfortable enough to go and visit that patient, or some patients have to say are in like isolation and they cannot be visited, but the gifts, what they want to get the gifts to the patient. Now, all my gifts are sterile. They're all brand new. Because I've been working with I've been working with patients who have been in isolation, and I know that all these gifts have to be like packed separately. They're not touched by anything. They're all completely like sterile, etc. I make sure that the gifts will get to the patient. I check that the gifts get there, that we'll have their phone number. Now, also for the simple reason that I make sure that there's patient confidentiality. And if someone wants to get a gift for someone, and I don't necessarily need to know, but I need to know the name of the patient and where the patient is based in the hospital, and then I try and not need to know more information. The only reason why I'd like to know the information is if someone wants to gift for that patient, another person wants to give that patient, I just want to know that I'm not replicating the same gift again to that patient.
Ladies and gentlemen, the bottom line is this. Israel is the startup nation. We have amazing technologies and inventions and medical technologies and all kinds of stuff which come out and have been helping the world. This stuff comes out regularly, from the cell phones that you're using to the medical technology in your hospitals and your computers and on and on and on. This idea, Gifted Well, this is another invention, basically, here out of the Jewish state of Israel, but on such a deeper level in terms of hands-on assisting patients in hospitals, giving them what they need, giving them what will give them a sense of home as they are on the process, sometimes long process towards recovery. So this basically is another amazing idea and initiative coming out of the state of Israel, from Jerusalem, from somebody who has been there, who has spent a lot of time, I know, working in the hospital and doing her amazing holy work to help people get better, whether it's children in an oncology department or a surgical ward. So I want to congratulate you, Rochelle Wreschner.
Can I just add one more thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
This isn't just in hospitals, it's also in respite care, it's also old age homes, etc. It doesn't just mean someone going into hospital, and it's not just like, also again, it's people going in to have babies, etc. It's also not just like hospitalized patients, it's all over. It's anyone where you're going out of your home and you're going into a place that's a change of your home environment. Excuse me, it's going into something of a different place. And also in the home, when you're just feeling a little bit blue and you want to pick me up, you can also pick up the phone and get a service or a taxi drive. And if you've just hurt yourself and you're unable to get there physically, there are taxi services, there are catering services, there are all cleaning services, etc. All these kind of things just to make your life a little bit easier.
So I'm learning as we go also. I appreciate you filling me in with all those other services, which I was not aware of. So that's amazing. I appreciate it. Thanks so much. Go to the website. Is that the best way? GiftedWell?
Exactly. Go to the website, see the gifts, and giftedwell.com. Go and see the gifts and see all the different services that you can get for yourself or someone can gift for you.
Congratulations on the initiative, on opening this, Rochelle Wreschner. Giftedwell.com. That's where you can find all the information about how you can take advantage of this new service. I want to thank you for your time, and good luck. Keep up the great work.
Thank you. Thank you, Josh. Okay, nice to see you. Thank you.
All the best. We are going to take a short break. Be right back. You're listening to Israel Uncensored on the Land of Israel Network at thelandofisrael.com. Get in touch with me during the week, Josh at thelandofisrael.com. On Facebook, Joshua Hasten or Josh Hasten Israel Advocacy and Journalism. On Twitter at Josh Hasten, and on Instagram as well. Take a short break. Come right back.
The question is, why are the Jews there in the first place? The Jewish people have been yearning to return to their ancient homeland for a long time.
The Yishai Fleischer Show, the voice of a new generation of pro-Israel activists.
And there's only two kinds of minorities in the Middle East, armed or unarmed.
Inspiring minds to think differently.
That jihadism doesn't just attack Jews. It attacks Christians, and it mostly attacks Muslims.
Inspiration, spirituality, and politics.
So first and foremost, this country is here to defend Jewish people and to live in its ancestral homeland.
Listen to the Yishai Fleischer Show every week on the Land of Israel Network at thelandofisrael.com.